All right. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Welcome back to Black Marriage and Family. We are back. Times is hard, but we are back here. Uh, you know, I'm happy that we can get back on track. It's been a long time, my friend. I don't know. I know you're out here stumping like Trump or something, but
I'm stumping hard. I'm still in my car right now. I'm a go off camera for a second.
right.
Uh, Very unprofessional, but I just left something and I have to get my family some dinner. But
Well, we
yeah,
know.
it's
Yeah,
almost over.
it's almost over.
August 26th. August 26th.
August 26th, mid. Well, that's not really a midterm, but it's some time of term.
Well, yeah. I mean, we hope to not have a runoff. I'm trying to go on. I'm on my speaker on my phone and it's not so good. But we hope to not have a runoff. But it probably will be. But that's okay. It is what it is.
How many people in that race?
Eight. Eight people are in this race.
Eight people.
Eight people are in this race.
Eight people want to do their civic duty to better the city. That sounds good.
Yeah.
That's
Eight
how,
people are eight people are in the race. There, so the vote is split. Eight people and we are 16,000 strong.
16,
16,000 strong. So hold
15,
on
16.
1 second.
Okay. So
No camera. Hold on. Pull it down.
while
I'm
Fawn is
sorry.
while Fawn is doing that, I want to welcome everybody to Black Marriage and Family. We have been away. Well, I've not really been away. I've been here, but I've been doing all kinds of other things in Black Marriage and Family. I've been doing more therapeutic comparison, therapeutic conversation. So far, just so you get an update, last week was we were doing. I was talking about fathers. What happens when your parents cheat, and I just gave a breakdown of a fictional family that came to therapy, and how that would work in reference to one of the family members feeling like the parent was cheating, but it really was, just fictional. By the end, people realized that no one had cheated. It was just a failure of communication, like most things that we have in our in our systems. Like a lot of times, people think something happened, but something didn't really happen. What really just happened was communication wasn't done the right way, and now the miscommunication leads to assumptions, to ideas, sometimes even to a fictional, stereotypical uh, thing that did not even happen, you know, that then causes a strike and a strain in the family and could cause problems. So I did that last week. I'm glad to have you here to talk about tonight's topic. I'm sure you know a lot
Let me
about.
I want to say something about last week's topic, which I really wanted to get on because I think that what people what we sometimes don't do is see how some of these miscommunications can feel like a cheat.
Mm,
They can feel like betrayal. They can feel like um because we've been able to generically label cheating because I always say the act of sex is such a simple emotion. But
right.
when you cheat a person out of emotional connection, out of simple conversation, like I truly believe that the once we get down to sex, then sex is probably the first thing. It's so simple to have sex with somebody else. Um, but the real cheating is when you have emotionally given yourself to someone else. I sat in a therapy session and the guy was telling me how was talking about his wife to other women.
Yeah, very.
And I said, and he's like, but I've never cheated on her. And I was like, but that's a cheat, brother.
But you know, fine. He wouldn't see it that way because we've been socially constructed to believe that. And I had this conversation about this idea. Well, you know, I was on. You know, I'm thinking of my good friend Frenchie Davis, and she has a show. Um, the abolitionist on WBI. WBLI, what the one WBLAI, and is a New York station in New York, but her show is on public radio. Um, and she had a guy who was on who was talking about poly relationships, and it was so interesting because that led into this conversation that people. He said something that was so powerful in this conversation was saying that, oh, the wife wanted to do something, and then we made her she wanted to experience a different kind of relationship, and the only thing she had did wrong was not be transparent about who and what she wanted to her partner. So she became the villain in the idea that, and what ended up happening, he was saying that, he expressed to her something in the case that, you may not feel like it's such a big deal, but it is because instead of you hurting my friend's feeling and cheating on him, you could go be in a relationship with somebody who open and welcomes that, and then you don't have any problems like that. Your transparency is clear. You have made a clear what's going on, and so often this idea always comes back to what you're describing, the sexual part. But in that conversation, what you were saying, the first thing I thought about was, well, what happens when you are spending so much of your energy time, your intimacy time with other people, and
Mm-hmm.
having conversations about your wife, good, bad, or ugly, if they're good things, bad things, ugly with somebody else, is sharing that intimacy with them when you really could be sharing it with your partner.
Right.
You could tell them those things. Now, the problem is partners, both men and women, got to be willing to hear what their partner is telling them. Because
Vulnerable.
that's why people will go and tell somebody else. Because the other person, and this is why I say what you were saying is so true. The other person you're telling that to, they don't have a dog in the fight. They don't have
They
a
don't have
horse
a
in
dog
the
in
race.
the fight.
So when you
Right.
say this, they can agree with you. They can say, "Oh man, I hear you." Oh, I don't agree with that. I disagree. They're not going to tell you anything because guess what? Their defense mechanisms are not being affected by what you're saying. But when you tell your partner, their defense
Right.
mechanisms immediately arise as, "Oh, you're talking about me. You're saying something about me. What's going on? What you're
You're
doing."
judging me. I can't do anything right. I mean, so many things. That's why sexually charged um affairs are so easy because you don't have the responsibility of the other person, and not even just that you don't have the responsibility, you don't have the history of the other person. You don't have the fails, the attempts that you were supposed to do this and you didn't do that. It's there's so many levels to this cheat situation that I don't think we realize. Like when I say that cheating is a symptom, people will often look at me like, "What you talking about? Cheating is the ultimate." No,
Well,
that's a
see, and I
symptom to the
see.
other issues that y'all got going on.
Listen, I listen. We listen. Cheating is the ultimate, right? But here's
Right.
why it goes almost into our conversation today about grudges, right? Cheating is the ultimate because
I'm gonna go off
you
cameras for just a second, but I'm here.
you have been conditioned to believe that the person has cheated on you not because they wanted to, but because there was something wrong with you. That gives you this
Right.
grudge, right? So that's why it's the ultimate. Because guess what? Even when you see people who go and get involved with threesomes, right? They agreed initially, but what comes up later is, how do I look in this threesome, right? And how do I look? If I don't look good, then I'm going to have a problem with it, and that is becoming a deal breaker. Whereas if we go to the threesome and the woman, well, let's say you go to the threesome and the third person is all about you and everything is you're so great, guess you're gonna think this is the greatest thing ever. I want to do some more of this because of how you're feeling, what is making you feel. Uh, uh, I said, and what's happening. So once again, I see we already getting some traction on here. Again, we are welcoming people at any time. I see you, Rock. If you want to come and join us, just let me know. Drop a link, and I will send you the link to come and talk to us about this conversation that we're having tonight. We definitely welcome you here on Black Marriage and Family. Myself, Dr. Ron, and look, you know what? We done went and got already into the thing. We introduced ourselves. We just start talking. Uh, that's how you know that we've been waiting and wanting to get back into this conversation and really share with people um, some of the issues and some of the things that affect us in our community when it comes to our relationships and our black relationships, our black marriages, our black families. Um, it is a piece of work. And here's a big part of what we also was touching base on is the idea that how do you measure because I'm going to take this another instance. What happens when you no longer are able to even have sex? Does that sex still demand the same power of if your partner you can no longer have sex, but your partner loves you and wants to stay committed to you, but they need sexual feelings and emotions. What would it be? How would it operate for them to continue on this relationship? Would they
Interesting
need?
part that it would probably operate. Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
The interesting, of course, some cut off me. Just catching the tail end that the interesting part is that I believe that there is no sex or money or anything like that. The relationships often run off of real, true devotion, commitment, love. But society says that you're missing something. Something is being missed because we're conditioned to feel it. And I hate to say it because I hate to say it, but I think men are conditioned to feel like they're how they're having the experience
Hold on, Fawn.
is
Fawn.
tied
Fawn.
to
They say that you're breaking up.
right.
Really, they say you're breaking up. Your connection might be a little bad. Let me answer a question in the chat and let you get settled because I think that might be the problem because you moving around and you might be getting a bad connection. We have Rock and Rock said and can you hear me fine? Fine. Okay, see, I knew that might happen. Well, Rock, let me answer some of your questions that you asked, and let's go to your first question. There's different forms of sex, not just penetration. Yeah, we understand that there's different forms of sex, uh, but that's not sex. Is sex. Sexuality is different forms, right? So the larger majority of, I'll give you a great example. When we look at people with disabilities, right? And I can use this example because I know this is a fact. People have physical disabilities who are still sexual beings, who some of the body parts that they would need to process sexuality with, right, are not there, may not even be there, may not work in the same capacity, does not change the idea that these people can have these sexual pleasures. I mean, sexual pleasures, sexual satisfaction with a partner. So I don't want to get it confused that we take this Neanderthal mindset that only sex occurs through someone saying, "Oh, I'm going to penetrate the person," or penetration is going to happen. Now we do know this, and this is where the part separates from our mental capacity and our physical. You're not going to get someone. Sexual organs are made for reproduction. If you and they're fitted to work in the reproduction way. So if you're a fundamentalist for sex, as I like to call them, sex is only for fundamental sex. That means reproduction. And you do one thing: the object has to go into the penis has to go into the vagina to ejaculate to get to the egg to make creation of life. Right? That is that's all mammals who are reproducing do the same thing. We as human beings got a lot more slick stuff that we doing and we got going on. We find all kinds of other ways to make our sexual body parts. And let me say this: that initially those sexual body parts are not made are used for pleasure. The pleasure that you get is to activate the hormones in your body to have the reaction to bring about the stimulation of the egg and the ejaculation of the sperm to this create the new life. Now we do a whole bunch of other stuff and then we call it sexuality, because there is no sexuality of dogs, right? There is no sexuality of bats.
Okay.
And then when we look at it, and if it is, it's based on reproduction, not on how that no dog. Listen, when a female dog is in heat and she in the middle of the street and the dogs lining up to all do their thing and get stuck and all that. Guess what? There is no sexuality there. It's a straight magnetism to the pheromones, the heat, the smell, the arousal to impregnate. And 2 weeks later, that dog walking around here with a giant belly with mutt babies in their stomach. Because that is the nature of nature. Now, human beings, we do a whole bunch of other slick, sly stuff, and then we kind of come back and try to, as I like to say, justify what we did and why we did it and how that operates. So let's don't. But sex is not the only thing we do, and sex is not completely denominated. Our sexuality is not dominated by sex. It's also by our sexuality in our mind. That's why you can have a person who has erectile dysfunction, a person who has had a vasectomy of their breast, still have sexual feelings, still get aroused, because it's not about having the actual things, it's about what's in their mind. So I'm saying all this, I'm not trying to give people a biology lesson, a sexual lesson, but I'm saying all this to say, when we start talking about what you do that's non-sexual, that becomes intimate with other people, why is that not equivalent to you having sex with them? That's my question.
I feel like it most definitely is. I mean, it's the way that it's how much weight we put on, and these societal rules we go back to again. At some point, people will justify anything that they do that makes them feel good. We'll just justify it, right? Instead of acknowledging that it makes me feel good. I don't think that we like to admit to the things that make us feel good. So we go back to the simple thing of the physical act. We go back to the simple thing of the physical act. We can never acknowledge. So a perfect example is, threesomes are a thing right now. Met this couple, threesomes, but it was different. We think about threesomes with, what do you typically think about?
Well,
Two girls and a boy.
because that is the patriarchy, machismo way of believing that, oh, this man, let me in our culture,
In our
in the
culture, right?
black culture, it is to keep my image of masculinity and heteronormativeness. For me as the man, it will be two women. I don't care what they do with each other, but I'm not doing anything that's outside of my. And then that also means that I'm the king, and these two women are pleasing me. That's the smallest aspect of as we say, as we would even say, um, uh, um, threesomes are even poly lifestyle or sexuality. That's such the smallest edge of that, because I think the larger edge that we're not even a part of in a black community is men going to find other.
I was just about to tell you about this. So I deal with various generations of people,
Right.
and I noticed in the younger generation, they're a little more liberated. And I was privy to this conversation, and I wanted to chime in, but I really couldn't at the time. And I really can't really in the capacity that I'm sitting in right now with this race. But I
Right.
took a lot of notes. And the couple had come to a standstill in their physical intimacy.
Right.
And it was because they had committed to each other. But the guy was requesting a threesome, but the threesome was with two men and his wife. And
Not one man, two men.
well, no, I'm sorry,
Oh, him.
another man and his wife.
Right. Okay.
Um, and he literally had come to an intimacy, like they couldn't find like what the problem was. So finally he said, "Hey, I don't have these tendencies. This is what I enjoy. I love you, but for whatever reason, I enjoy watching him have sex with you, and then I want to have sex with him." And these people shared this story so freely. And the woman really just talked about how she wanted her husband to feel good. And I thought, ma'am, I wanted to really get her information because I wanted to know, like, how. I mean, I was like taking notes because I'm like, how do you? But they seem to be so happy. I watched them over like several weeks where I was. And I don't think it was an act. I think that everybody in that situation was being true to themselves.
Can I ask you a question, Fawn? Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What was the demographics of these people?
Were they black or white or in the South or
I don't go by black or white no more. Were they non-black people?
no? They were
They were black.
black people. They were
Now,
just younger. They were younger.
not only younger, listen, not only younger, because you okay. Let me. This is so. Oh, this is so not complex, because if you're in the culture, right? If you're understanding, you're working with people every day. I had recently told somebody this, and they really didn't understand it, and they was like, "Are you crazy?" I was saying that this influx of trans women, right? That don't look like trans women, just
Mm.
queer trans. I like to say queer trans women, right? That's men who have decided to be trans women, queer, but still keeping their aura is androgynous, But there's no doubt in your mind that they're not still this man, right? And
Right.
that these same men are having women as their partner. They're not going out looking to be with men because they're not considering, at some point they're also being lesbian, I guess, or they are they, whatever they have made it sound. But I realized that trying to understand it, I got a better understanding is that men in the day society, they are learning that they don't want to be misogynistic. They don't want to be the patriarchy. And the only way to not be that is to be other, to be queer, to be the other, not men of men that like a man like myself. I've been accused even when I was in a program learning about sexuality, being the patriarchy, being someone who was biased to everyone because I was heteronormative, right? And I would then say, hey, not really, because I that's not I don't have a judgment. I ain't trying to.
Which is, I was about to say, which is, you were probably one of the first people that I met who I would identify as someone who was non-homophobic, non-judgmental. Like, you were literally, I always tell the story, but I won't tell it on, I won't tell it on live tonight. But you were, like, genuinely throughout the years one of the only people that I knew who had friends that were non-heterosexual.
Mhm.
And
And
it was not even a,
hey, and to this
yes,
day, I still do. And I remember, and that can be weaponized. And listen, I know that there was a time somebody tried to weaponize that I had a friend who was non-heterosexual, because I'm not gonna say what they were, non-heterosexual, or they might have been bisexual, right? They tried to weaponize the idea that I was friends with them, as in, why would you be friends with them? Because they're a good person. Listen,
right.
I'm not in the man bedroom. I don't know. Listen, just like I ain't. Listen, it's like I ain't in your bedroom, fun. I don't know what you do in your bed. So as being a friend doesn't have anything to do with your sexuality to me.
Absolutely not.
But again, it goes back into this whole thing that I feel that people who are not secure in who they are, who have been, who don't know how to have genuine relationships, can also end up being in these kind of putting themselves in relationships in places that maybe not be who they are, or maybe be who they are, but they don't want the society to know. I told somebody, I think I said the other day, and this is so crazy, is that I can't imagine somebody today. Oh, because this is the big thing. They had the red dress thing in New Orleans, right?
Hmm.
That's like the scandal of, oh, look at these men.
It's been happening for years, though. Like, what
Right.
is
I was saying, but listen, and guess what? I don't know if the people what they is. I know this. The one time ever in my life when I just came back from a high school reunion thing in Jacksonville last weekend. And as I walked past the center of the school, I can think about how that was my first and last experience of dressing up like a woman. Because in our high school homecoming, we had the reverse day where the girls dressed like the boys and the boys dressed like the girls. And I was one of the few black men at the school who did it. All the football, all the popular white guys and football quarterback, all of them did it. I happen to be a popular person in the school somewhat, especially for the black people. But I did it because I didn't have that insecurity. I didn't have
right?
a complex about it, and I never thought nothing about it until when I walked by there today and I thought about the picture. Hey, I remember we did that, and that was so fun. But today that would be so problematic because it is becoming something that listen, people are holding grudges about it. They're making it an issue that if someone can be who they are. I have a problem when people don't be who they are and then they try to 42 fake you out, right? Or something like that. But then they only will do that because I have friends, and I'll tell you from my experience, I have friends who said to me, I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna have him. And I was like, that man ain't doing that. Like, you gonna get yourself, you gonna get yourself beat this. And guess what? I was wrong. I was completely. I'm saying that this guy came here to get some of the models, not to come be with the director. But yo, what did I
But
listen?
but
What
wait,
do I know?
I want to touch back on something that you said, and then I want to go to the comments too. But I want to touch back on something that you said, and we've talked about this before. But I want to reframe it a little bit. About how men don't want to be stereotyped as that patriarch or that macho man or any of
Right.
that. And I want to reframe it, and I may be giving men a little too much credit here, but is it unsafe now?
God damn, no, you're not being. Listen, fine. We are in the. Listen, don't ever question when we are consciously thinking about it. You're hitting. This is what I'm saying. It is. They have realized that it is if they want to enjoy the full fledged of their life, they can't be who they are. You have to say that. Oh, I'm this. I'm that. Oh, because now, guess what? What trans man can you say did something wrong? They be cutting the hell up,
Nothing
right?
right now.
They be doing any and everything. And what can you say to them? Nothing, because guess
Nothing
what?
right now.
They're saying you got to respect me as the woman I am, and I'm not. I don't. I'm less than you. But that's not true. You are still, by nature, will still get the privileges and the rights and responsibility as men get in this world with sexism. So there is that's it's like the sexism thing. The best way to beat sexism is to join them. And then you can't say I'm a bad guy no more. You can't call me a bad guy if we doing the same thing. But I still have, but by nature, I still will always get the privilege of being the man, even not being a man. Because
Right.
men will continue to say, that's why you have this complex that men will still say, you're a man, he a man. Listen, look, I'd rather deal with him, because at least I know if I deal with him, I ain't gonna have to deal with her.
I just wonder, like, how do we pivot back to like a safe space to be? I'm always about just trying to be who you are, right? And I
Right.
and I don't see us at any time. I do feel like the the more we grow, the more society demands safe spaces for everybody, right? And I
Right.
always tell my daughter this is the best time to be, brown, have a disability, and I often say, "You sure you're not gay? Because if you are, then we hit them all, and
Now, if you
we
slide that in there,
it's a trifecta.
you
Like
get the trifecta.
then
It's,
we're good, like then I can sell you on YouTube at this point, because we'll have all of them. But I just wonder, like, when will it ever be safe to be cis anymore? You know what I'm saying? You
yeah.
can't, because we have criminalized so much. So we're done criminalizing black people. Now we got to attack gender. Like it's so much so that you got to pick a side. Like
But
like what are you gonna do?
black people still fall into that, right? It's just that it just has become um multi-complex on how you do it now. Like we're because gender is now have become this is crazy to me, because gender has now become the issue.
Right.
R- race had become double fold. So now, where it used to be, if you was a black, like they're saying right now, that trifecta of being that black woman in the business world, you was getting up the ladder. Most of those people getting losing their job. They're getting fired. DEI has established, oh, get rid of them because they not. Even though if they was the best people at the job, getting most of the work done, get rid of them because the sayer has said that we only gave this person that because it was a woman and it was black. Oh, and if they was queer woman black, oh yeah, that's why we brought them in there, because we don't have to worry about nothing with them. Now it is a war. The heteronormative world has took the heteronormative patriarchy. Patriarchy, when I say this, the supremacist world is fighting back double fold, right? And people don't want to be a part. Listen, they don't want to be a part. Most liberals don't want to be a part of MAGA, right? Why? Because they say MAGA is racist. Even though you might be as equally racist, but you're going to say, "Oh no, I'm liberal," but you believe half of the same stuff they believe.
Right.
You'll advocate and vote for the same stuff, but you don't want to be acknowledged. So you'll say, "Oh no, I'm a liberal person. I believe in rights for everybody, this and that." But really, when it comes down to it, no, you just don't want to be attacked for it. So the MAGA are the people who are being attacked for something, and that works in every little class system that we have, and how it's working and breaking down in race, gender, sex. It's crazy. But we can only sit here and try to figure out how does that intertwine. And I'm gonna bring it back to Rock's question.
Okay.
I would love to have a threesome with my partner, but I would really need to be attracted to the female. Now, this statement being made is a great point of when we're talking about this, why people do the things they do, right? So the first question I have in this is you need to be attracted to the other woman, right? So the woman needs to be attractive, right? So that means that the question is, does the man need you both to be attractive? And then is that about an attraction thing? Are you having a threesome for attraction? Because I think you described the threesome that you described. Fun. It wasn't about attractive. It was about satisfaction in
It was a
relationship.
need. That was a
It's
need.
a satisfying need to
Yeah, it was a
maintain
need.
relationship, the relationship sexuality. So it didn't probably matter what the dude looked like.
Mm-mm.
Didn't matter how they, whatever. Just as long as they was on the same vibe and wavelength of that of of the action that was going to happen. So it's kind of
Yeah,
like a little
I
bit
saw it
different.
as like a cry for, you can be a novice at a lot of things, but this person was really, it was really like a cry to say, I want to be with you. I want to be with my children. I want to be in this, but I need this. I've
Mhm.
tried to not do this for so long, but I need this. And it's kind of the reverse of the DL.
Well,
You know, it's the reverse of the DL. It's the courage to say, I don't want to do this DL thing. I love you, but I need you to do this. That's funny. They want people to pick a side. I totally agree with that. I totally agree that they want people to pick a side with everything. The world acts like we are in a sporting event,
right.
and
You
you've
definitely
got to pick a side.
you
And if
got
you
to
cannot pick a side, then you're weird if you don't pick a side. If you don't pick a side, then you're weird, or you're of the devil, or you are in some kind of way
Are you
just
undercover? You
you're
undercover
undercover, you're
side.
unsafe. And I really wish that we would all stop for one day just picking the sides. I listened, this is so off topic, but I listened to Ricky Smiley this morning, and they were talking about Shiloh. And they were saying, should Shiloh be getting all the attention that he's getting and all of these other things? And I immediately said yes, and I don't care if he's getting it because of his daddy, because nepotism always seems to have to be dead when it comes down to black people. But no, I don't care. But I heard a lady come on, and lady was like, we are Cleveland or whatever team he plays for, and we will not be talking about Shiloh. We'll only be talking about the game. We don't care about Columbus. It was just so weird. And I thought for a moment, ma'am, are they giving you a check? Like,
Well,
because this is completely different than what we're talking. We're talking about acknowledging a young man for his talents. Not even just a young man. We're talking about acknowledging a legacy that a father created. And if y'all mad about what this man created, then that's y'all business. But he created this legacy, and it's no different than the Peyton Mannings and all of the
no,
rest of
listen,
them.
it's
And the
no
only thing we're
listen.
doing, but black folks, we
One
always
better,
quick to fall on that pick a side
one better, one
situation.
better. It's no better than Fred Trump.
There's
No
nothing different.
different from Fred Trump. Fred Trump did what he did, and his son is presently the president of the United States that have
Presently, the
and have.
president of the United States.
So just figure that. But when you talk about Shiloh, and I'm glad you brought him up because he is a perfect example of our topic. You actually taking the reverses back to our topic about grudges that can benefit relationships. this grudge that people have on him. Listen, I'm still gonna keep this 100 real. You got a problem with somebody, daddy? That's one thing. You don't go into that old saying. You don't go take out your problems with a daddy on their child. You don't do that, right?
Right.
If no one would be even talking about Shiloh, right? Because he's not the number one draft pick, right? Who talking about? Who talking about? Who talking about? Who talking about the number one draft pick that was nobody? We're not talking about him. Listen. All we hear is Shiloh, Shiloh, Shiloh. You know why? It's because you made him a martyr for people who feel like there is discrimination against people, right? And everybody got to find something bad on him.
Right.
You know how many people go into the draft with so many problems, and you hear nothing about anything about them. You hear nothing. The issue is this. If they would have, and I said this over and over again, we do ourselves a disservice by holding grudges. Because if we wanted Shiloh not to be as important and getting all the limelight they would have, let his ass have been drafted number 1 or number 2. And guess what? Nobody would care. Nobody would care. You know why? Because it wouldn't be any reason to care, because he would have he would have went through the system the way everybody else went through the system.
Right.
But what you did is you made it so pronounced. The grudge that whoever made up this grudge, and however the grudge came, and if it's collusion or whatever it is, you made it so pronounced that the man went all the way to the 5th, 144 to the 5th round, for then people to only then want to question everything about why did that happen? What did he do? Is he not good? So now you got more attention. People, listen, if you really wanted to get him, and this is the greed of, listen, this is the greed of money, right? Because if you really want to get them like Kaepernick, just blackball them all the way through. But you had no real reason to do it. And if you did do it, what would end up happening? He'll be in Canada, and he'll be like one of the greatest players in Canada. And people be like, why is we losing? Because money talk in America.
Absolutely.
Why are we losing with this bum quarterback we got? And this boy's over there making 8 and 10 touchdowns a night, just balling out. Why don't we get him? And some person who about money will say, let's get him. Like, even to this point, it's about money, but it's like a grudge has now turned into making him a martyr. And guess what? What makes it worse is that for every step that the weapon that is being formed against him, it has not yet prospered. No matter what people say about him, no matter what happens, listen, obviously he has whatever on his side, God, faith, he has his legacy, he has whatever he has on his side, that he is going, it's obvious to me, he's going to prosper. Now, here is where they continue to be making the mistakes. You got 5 quarterbacks over there. Shiloh the only one that done played in the game, and he looked really good at it. What you just did is you set all these other. See, I ain't even talking about Shiloh no more.
Right.
I'm talking about all the other people. The Gabriel, who was picked before him, it's literally being fucked over. Literally. Because now, if he come out there and make one mistake when he play, the advocates for Shiloh gonna say, see, look, he over Shiloh. Shiloh didn't make a pick. Shiloh didn't get sacked. What's going on here? And you just build up, and it's almost to the point. And then guess what? Listen, I have to say this, and a lot of people don't like it, but this goes back to the point of being a uppity, arrogant Negro, and people don't like it. White people don't like it, and other Negroes don't like it. And what I would tell people is, the hell with you if you don't, because it's nothing I love more. Nothing I love more than uppity, arrogant. Now, a lot of them got lynched and killed back in the day, but that's why they was lynched and killed, because they made people recognize that they was valuable. Black was beautiful. Black was smart. Black was intelligent. Black was everything that you ain't, and that's why you mad at me.
There's
It's,
another thing that you love more: a uppity, arrogant Negro who can come through too.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm
So,
sorry.
uppity,
Let's
arrogant
back it.
Negro who is a Deion Sanders and can produce beasts and can come through.
Come.
You love them more than you love anything else. Because at the end of the day, you know the adversities, you know all of the stuff, you know everything. We know everything that this person has faced. We know even going through this is funny because even going through this election, when we talk about when I read the topic tonight, you know, I thought about grudges and I thought about how this is actually strengthened my relationship. Where in the beginning I was so, you know, I was
Beautiful.
so like I can't do that. I can't, I'm a choke them in public. I can't really do this because there were so many grudges and things that we were holding on to just individually towards each other. But when other people started not liking us and holding grudges, it was kind of like, wait, nah, he ain't that bad.
Oh,
Nah,
he ain't
nah,
that. He ain't, listen,
nah,
listen.
hold up, nah,
That's a
nah.
classic. Listen, that's a classic therapeutic technique that great therapists use. Right, right. I
Right.
have used it so many times that when a couple comes and they are so disemboweled with each other, they think that each other is the worst thing ever. I just turn it on. I
Yeah.
put the brakes on both of them the same way, and shortly by the third or fourth session, they saying we hate this Negro man. We
Right. Well, together now we hate you.
now we
Together
hate
now we have to
it. That
win.
hey, listen,
Yeah.
it's something about black people, right? It's something
Right.
about us as black people. We can be on odds with each other until you attack us equally, and then we band together like never before. And that's just
Yo,
an American. I think that's a black American way to
it
be.
gotta be.
Not until you really attack us. And we was like, hold on.
Yeah,
Now,
no.
now you getting carried away now.
Right. I literally said to one person, now is he running for couples counselor of Selma or mayor? Because this man is qualified for this over here, but you keep asking me about some personal stuff that ain't your business. This for me to deal with. When you ask me, y'all been together 11 years, why y'all ain't married? Well, he this, that, and that. But we going to the polls on him being a mayor. And I thought about it for a minute and I was like, wait, I'm defending him on some stuff that I've been mad at him for. But the truth was that this man qualified over here for this now. You can't take these
Absolutely.
qualifications away over here. And I help with this development of this person being qualified for this.
Right.
Like you stand here because I help with the development of this. So when I'm looking at like the grudges and the things like this was the perfect topic for me because I'm currently looking at the other side of a grudge and how these things if we acknowledge the growth, like if we can acknowledge the growth. So sometimes I think these grudges are held because if we give up if we take a little bit of our foot off of a neck, that means that it looks like we've given an excuse or a pass, right? So if I say, oh no, you good, like you, or if I say I can understand why this happened this way, or even in my situation, if I can look back, when we say how your parents' relationship affected your relationship, or a relationship that you had before affected your relationship. Well, the black woman in me wants to say, I don't give a damn about your relationship before. I've been here, I've been doing this. And it developed into a grudge, right? And now we're faced with other people saying this out loud and you having to acknowledge that there are other parts of that person that are so good and that's why you actually stayed.
So listen, let me tell you what that is. Listen. So let me break this down. This is the the strategic solution focused method used by me most of the time. We come in with all the problems that we have, that we don't like, that this a problem, that's a problem, and then being able to really say, okay, is that the case? Well, let's do this. Let's really add on some problems. And then the nature of us as human beings, many of, if you're not a psychopath, right? You don't want to push down harder on the neck. You want to say, when people say, yeah, break that neck, you ain't in the Coliseum, right?
Right.
Let's go to the Coliseum and they say kill or mercy. Most people would like to just give mercy. I beat him already.
Right.
Okay, he beat. I ain't gotta bash his
I'm
head
good.
in with this thing, so I ain't gonna do it. And by doing that, it does something to both you as the person who won and the person who lost. Because what they begin to realize is this person really cares about me.
Right.
They are not my enemy like the crowd is. See, there's a difference. The crowd is really my enemy because
Right.
they saying cut his head open, cut his arms off, and you saying no, he don't deserve that. Come on, he deserves me to
Well,
beat him up a little bad, but he don't deserve all that.
because the crowd, the spectators really, really, really want to, I'm like, this whole thing has been like a test in people for me. And I thought I really knew people. And I still do think I have a grasp on human beings. But the part of humanity that really wants people to hurt, or that really wants to, what do you call it? See their pain come to life on the big screen is like astonishing to me right now. Like, people really want to see how they feel come out in someone else. They
Mm-hmm.
want to see it played out. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, and I've been writing about this, and I've been trying to, in my nightly journaling, well, my nightly book that I'm going to publish at some point. I've just been considering that behavior, considering the behavior. And I think you just summed it up for me, the behavior of the spectator. What gets inside of you that makes that you want that person to die? And when does it change? Like, if you, because we know, so if we're talking about a coliseum full of non-psychopaths, right? On a normal day, that person would not want a person to die. What is it in us that when somebody else is fighting, or somebody else is on the big screen, or there is a Shiloh or a Dion, that makes us want the person to fail? Like, what? And I know that it can be simply summed up with jealousy, but it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that. Like, when you can dig in somebody's closet and pull out bodies, but you have we're faced with that. And I hate to keep coming back to this election, but we're faced every day with maintaining others' integrity, right? And I thought that was the corniest thing when I was a young flight attendant. And I always tell people I grew up, my social landscape I grew up when I became a flight attendant, because I got to deal with so many different, for 20 years I dealt with so many different personalities, right? And so, looking at people just kind of want to destroy other people has been very concerning for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I even today, my cheerleaders, they had a little beef. And so I call myself the cheer aunt. I'm too old to be anybody's coach, but I'm like, I'm cheer auntie, I'm dance auntie, I'm everybody auntie. Um, and we've told all of them that, hey, cheerleading is not required. So you don't have to do this. They don't have to have cheerleaders. So your attitude is what's going to go first. So some of them came and they told us about a situation. And I had to explain to them, I know that what you've seen is war. You see, well, Rock, can I call you that too? Where you say everything is not war? Everything is war for everybody for some reason. And I am really perplexed. Like,
Well,
I am in my
let me help
book.
you with the reason why. Let me help you with the reason why. It's because so many people are at war with themselves. You will
Exactly.
find when people are at peace, they don't want to be around nothing like that.
Good.
They don't want to see anything like that. They have tuned it, and I can only say this because I know people, personal. I have a very close family member who they do not want to be involved with anything that's not peaceful, even to their own detriment of losing out. They will not participate if it's not fulfilling their family's peace. And I was like, oh my God, you guys really not? No, 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 no. Because I'm not interested in the war. I'm not interested in the excitement of war. I'm not interested. And you say, you know what? And then what I did is I would sometimes try to battle. Right? I don't want to be in the war, but I want to battle to win you over. I want you to come and see
Right.
things the way, or just try to see things the way. And you know what they taught me? Why do that?
Why are we doing that?
Because in the end,
And it's
they
not even
enforce
about being dismissive.
right.
No, I don't have to do that. Like literally, I used to train new hire flight attendants. I am not that person's parent. I am not responsible for your moral compass. I'm not. I have a kid. I was responsible for it for a while, and then you split and you do what you're going to do. I mean, I completely agree with you on that. And the one phrase that we've coined through this whole thing is when you have a plan, you don't have to fight. And that's with everything. Like when I plan the day to be a certain way, when even with my life, which is what I was teaching the little girls today, in having gratitude and being thankful and being able to be your true, original, authentic self, that's your planning. That's your planning. So your family that's like, yo, I'm not going over there. That messes with my peace. That's the plan. That means I ain't got to fight. Like literally, these people have put that in motion for themselves where I am not going to fight. But I don't think we often approach our relationships that way because we have to be vulnerable because these people literally see us naked. And it's almost like, can I trust you with my nudity? And the first thing that happens and I hold that grudge, then we could be grudging for years. We
Right.
can be on this grudge for years until something happens that shakes it up and makes it a win. But the thing about it is, do we are we vulnerable enough to recognize when it's time to make the grudge a win or to learn from the grudge? Or what or is it serving us to still be angry? Because you what I have learned from this anger situation is that sometimes it's beneficial to me because that means that I can say, see, you doing it again. You've been doing this for 12 years. You gonna keep on doing this?
Right.
And then that makes my partner feel like, damn, I know I owe them because I have been doing this for 12 years and I ain't, I suck. So let me go do this way. So I think that sometimes we even when we talk about relationships with our parents, sometimes I'll even find myself with my mom. If she says something, I'll say, well, I got it from you. And it just you want to say, oh, I released that, or I trust this, or my parents, I've forgiven my parents for all the pain and whatever. But when your back get against the wall, I got it from you. I did this because of you. I mean, we all have a responsibility to grow. The question is, when do we choose to grow or recognize that we need to grow so that the barriers can come down?
And how are we deciding to grow? Because sometimes we decide to grow for not for our benefit, for a worse position, for a
Right.
worse, a worse kind of place. And we sometimes lose who we. This is something I was speaking to somebody about. We then start moving in a place, losing who we are, and then we can't come back to it. We can't. When you move so far away from who you are, you can't come back. It's different when somebody move you to who you ain't, right? So when you're in a relationship with somebody and they push you to be something that you're not, and you do that, that's one thing. It's another thing when you do it to yourself because you don't even have the you don't have the scapegoat of saying, oh, this person did it, so I can get back to where I need to get to. You don't get that scapegoat. You do it all. You did it, so you're the one who got to suffer it, and you can't say anybody else. It is harder to be able to move yourself back to where you want to be because you start questioning: Is this who I really want to be? Is this really who I am? Is this really who I am? Am I really this messed up person?
But what about the people who never even developed into what they were going to be? So like you never even got the opportunity to identify what you are. And you just started moving in foulness before, and now that's literally your identity. Like
Mm.
this is exactly what you do. You never even I mean, I was looking at this one thing and I said, good night, Jalen. I love you. She had to get on. She had to get on. Y'all know that. She she's in Alabama. She gonna let y'all know this is my space. Um, but I think I made a post the other day. I don't really post a lot, but you know, elections do require a little bit of presence or whatever. So that's cool. Um, but I was thinking about like black people and how sometimes we start fighting from like the womb, like especially I'm only gonna say especially black women because I'm a black woman. Um, and I don't think we ever really get to develop. I just don't think we get to develop like from the beginning. We never get a space to develop. And we have to take bits and pieces from people along the way, bits and pieces from when my mom was maybe having 3 or 4 good months or 3 or 4 good years, bits and pieces from that good teacher that I had, that person that I admired, like all of those things. And then society or love expects for us to show up really good in a relationship and know how to navigate around somebody doing something that has hurt me to my core. Like so when you say, you lose yourself, I think we even got to go back to when you never even developed. Like, how do we identify when you stop developing the healthy mindset to understand and know how to get around things that even cause grudges, or when it's time to build from the grudge?
Yeah.
We never even know.
Right.
I feel like it took me 48 years to clearly know who I am. And there's no period on it because I'll keep growing. Let me not say to know who I am, to be comfortable. I think I played comfortable for a very long time
Mhm.
because God blessed me with this spirit that was free. And he blessed me with the gift to outwardly not show if I cared that somebody cared something about me. But a
Mm.
lot of times I did. I did care about that. But it wasn't until maybe a couple of years ago where I truly looked inside of myself and said, these are your positive and negative attributes. And this is how this is contributing to all of your relationships.
Yeah.
And I think my growth got stunted a very long time ago, and it prevented me from even seeing who I would have been or what I could have been.
Well, but I wanna, as I listen to you talk, I want you to, listen. I want you, I want you to know that I can hear, right? Because I spend a lot of time listening. People just don't. People think I don't be listening, right? I think they forget that because I talk, that I don't listen. Some people think that I'm just talking to just talk, but I'm actually talking to motivate so I can hear it better what you're saying. But you said something fun when you started this that was so important to that if a person is good at listening and understands this conversation that we're having, that you proved that it was true by making the statement that I can say this as me as a black woman, my experience. See, that is is the inner work that many people don't do because they'll just start. That means that they're not ready to take accountability for them and be about them or for them. They
Mhm.
just want to make it general, and then they want to make everything general. Then they say, oh well, for black women, and then for black men or for black people. No, guess what? Nobody experienced anything that I experienced as Ron, right? So I
Right.
can't. I can say that we may have some similarity things that we experience that we already know are similar. When we do like this, it's similar. We know that's a
Right.
similar. But the inner workings, you have to hear people give the cues to say what my inner workings are. And like you said as me being a black woman, and then you gave a full description of what that means. And so often we people are not doing that. And that's why they're not getting to the places that we are at. I think that
Right.
they can't get to the place where we're at, being able to, and again, the place that we're at is not finished. See, this is a
Not
part
finished.
that I think
Not
sometimes
finished.
people sit on these little platforms and they be telling people that they're no, we're basically getting to a place where we are still working, becoming who we are, still working on ourselves in our midlives. Listen, you got 46, 48 years. I got 50 something years. Yo, and we're still developing, growing, developing who we are, trying to establish what we're going to be, how we're going to be, what's going to happen. We haven't stopped doing any of that. We haven't stopped growing. And the reason why is because we continue to still know we got to work. We still got to try. We can't sit there and say, I'm good. No one is ever good.
Ever.
You're never good. If you think that you're good, look, an administrator at my school saying that we are good at we did good with our test scores for our students, but we ain't great, right?
Well,
And
and
so,
there's a reason why, because the bar will always be set higher. Because as a human being, there'll always be something new. Right now we're talking about gender. I mean,
right? And
we talked about
listen,
race. We
I
talked
heard you.
about gender.
I heard you, and you could have said as a woman the bar will change because guess what? It will be.
It,
Guess
it
what?
will.
For
Yeah.
some people, they might never even recognize it. Even and at some point, there's a bar that I can get to, and I'm always willing to say there's a bar that I can get to that Fawn you can't get to. But you know what? There's also a bar that Fawn can get to
Right.
that I ain't gonna even get to see. And it doesn't matter how you weigh it. And this is why I say you see that change in our society about who people want to be, because if they change who they are, it changes the access of how people perceive them.
A perfect example is Kamala, her run.
Right.
The bar, the bar that we're trying to get to even be accepted to be you're a black woman running for president. Great. We got there. But trying to break the ceiling of actually being elected, you it's not even, I'm not gonna say you have a
But
chance.
then the white woman couldn't break the ceiling. So
We could just stop it at woman. That's crazy.
right,
What's
exactly,
crazy is that you
exactly,
a
exactly.
woman. So then we gotta add on black women to that.
Well,
But a woman.
but understand this. That's why I said that. This is what I was saying earlier about the breakdown of what happens. So the people who dictate who's racist, who's not, who's sexist, who's not. Those people play these cultural games, right? And a big part of this is, um, so we know and we've seen that Hillary Clinton couldn't get to the presidency because
Mhm.
why? Don't tell me because she was married to Bill Clinton. No, no, none of that shit. Because she was a woman, right?
Well, I'm gonna tell you why. No, let me add a little bit to that too. So I don't think that she would have won, but here's what I do believe, that her arrogance, she and her husband's arrogance of thinking that the black vote was going to go directly to them,
But now you
and
add
her
now you
failure
adding
to,
a whole nother listen. You adding
but
in a whole
wait, but no, I'm going to bring this back. Her failure to court women that look like her, because she did not want to accept her issues. It's easier to get over here to these black people and be the savior. Get over
I
here to these black women and be the savior. But you need to support women that look like you. You needed to go out and get the white woman's vote. That was very important for you to do. But again, she put a period in who she was. She put a period in who she was, and she let other people define who she was. Because I'm going to tell you who I absolutely would have been: the white woman who was cheated on by Bill Clinton and kept moving. And that would have been you. You would have gathered up so many white liberals. I mean, you have a whole white women's movement. You have all of that, and you couldn't even secure most of their votes. That's
Right.
because you made yourself. You put a period. We're talking about we keep growing, we keep growing. I am so adamant about the fact that my life has a bunch of commas in them, dash, 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 comma. I never want to be blocked in that period point, because if I am, I will never break the ceiling. I do believe that Hillary Clinton had a better chance than Kamala because, like we say, woman is first, right? Then you're going to get the black, and then she wasn't black enough, and all of the other stuff that came along with her. But because we define ourselves and we put ourselves in such boxes, and then we're afraid of our damn shadow once we're in the damn box,
Right.
they never even addressed the infidelity, right? With Bill. I'd have came out the box with it. He was what he was. I stood and I served you as first lady with all of the grace in the class that I could. That's how you know I could take a fastball to the face and keep going. My man had semen on somebody's dress while he was the president.
No, he had semen. He got caught with one of the women that he had semen on their dress.
One, one
That
of
that
them.
the one that he got caught with. That doesn't
The one
state.
that he got caught with. But our inability to allow ourselves to grow from painful situations, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable from painful situations, is one of the reasons why that lady couldn't break that ceiling. And I will never get off of that hill. I will die on that hill because you could come over here and be a part of a class that you thought was lower and talk to them about their issues and how you would fix them. But you could not go face the millions of white women who have been mistreated and dogged and from slavery. From slavery, your man has treated you like an animal. From slavery. See, everybody has a misconception. And we talk about how bad black men treat black women, but we never go back to how poorly these white women were treated. I just took a
Absolutely.
class on the abolitionists that were here in Selma. The what do they call it, suffrage was one here as well.
Uh-huh.
um and I took a class on suffrage and the things that these women were subjected to. I can never feel as bad for them as I do for my own people, because we were lower than the animal, of course. But ma'am, you know as well as I do that Bill might have made you wear that damn dress that woman had that semen on. That you put that semen on. But your inability to be able to be authentic and actually not put that period there made you come over to this black side, a traditional side that's loyal. We might not even like you, but we voted you in. You ain't have to win us. We already know that we didn't need that person. We were gonna give you, we were gonna do this, right? You couldn't even go over there and win your own people because you afraid of your shadow,
Right.
which is what we often are. We are often afraid of everything that's bad in us, not knowing that if we embrace it, we conquer it and we keep moving.
Very much so. You hitting the key point. And then again, let's just take that grudge that people had against Hillary, right? Right? And
Right?
the system was organized like this. The mammy who does everything right in the plantation can, who we think that master gave more power to than his own woman, and everybody thought that she had more power, right? She ran everything. She had master ear. We take that same comparison and bring it to Kamala, right? And then you say, oh, Kamala can definitely take over the plantation because Master had her on a pedestal. But you don't understand. He doesn't have Kamala he doesn't have her on a pedestal because he wants her to take over. He has her on a pedestal because she's the easiest person she is the best person to not give him any challenge at all.
Oh,
Why
absolutely.
would I not put the weakest person next to me and put them at the highest place because they have no threat? They're no threat to me. I'm not gonna put my own woman next to me because she has something that she could challenge me with. I'm damn sure not putting that black man because he can actually get overpower me and take over. I'll just put his woman there because by putting her there, she keep him in line. I keep my woman in line by saying, "See, she better than she. Look at her. She better than you. You ain't good enough. I put her in charge and stuff instead of you." But this was the wake up call for that pedestal putting. You thought he was being put on the pedestal for you to be praised, but you was being put on the pedestal for pettiness. You was being put
No,
on the
I
pedestal to
I can never
petty.
believe that Kamala did not know that they were trying to play in our face with nominating her. Now Biden literally played in our face, as the kids say. And don't come over here playing in my face.
Listen, if he was serious, listen. Let's keep it 100. I'm gonna tell you 100 facts. If you wanted her to be the first female president, if you wanted her to, right? She's already the vice president. Very simple. You already knew that your ass was walking around here as a zombie,
2
right?
days away. Right.
All you had to do without no that listen, we know for sure what would happen. You say, I am leaving. I'm leaving. When people leave, when the president leave, get guess who next?
Right.
The vice president.
Exactly.
Now you know how hard it is, or how easy it is for someone who becomes a president
The incumbent.
unseated by somebody else who ain't the president.
Right.
Because most people feel like everything is going kind of good. We got things, whatever. Let's just keep going with this. We don't need to spark up no problem because you
But
know that
even in your walking death, you thought you were better than that black woman.
absolutely, and you know you weren't. But
Right.
again, that is the patriarchy, supremacy, patriarchy, machismo, misogynistic way of being. That all that comes under supremacy. I
That's
am
now making men put on dresses.
right. That's making men who saying, I don't want to be a part of this supremacy. I gotta remove myself from it. So if I can be like the people who get suppressed, then I'm not a part of the suppressive culture. When the problem is, here is the part where when we come back to this full circle, I said, you are who you are, so you gotta be who you gotta be. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta work to make yourself better. You can't change your situation to be better. You
Can't.
gotta, as a man like me, you gotta recognize. I remember when the Me Too movement came out, right? And it was so prevalent and so hard on my mind. And I was thinking to myself, hey, have I ever did anything to somebody that they would come and say, I got a Me Too Ron Osborne Williams. I got a Me Too they'd be Ron Osborne, they'd be Me Tooing. They got a Me Too me. And I was thinking to myself, and I wrote a post on social media saying, hey, if you ever felt like whatever, please reach out to me because I want to be able to touch base or whatever. Because again, you have to realize I wasn't doing that because of just the Me Too movement. I was doing that also because of the work that I was doing as a therapist, as a
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence educator and prevention person. All that stuff goes a play into who and what you are. So you are now seeing things in a completely different light than some of my counterparts, my fellow men, even
Right.
some women were seeing. So you have a sensitivity to that. So you make a change within yourself. So you make that change, but you have to want to make it. It ain't going just because somebody put you in a position, you're gonna make the change.
Right.
That's a you thing, and that's what a lot of people had a problem. We continue to see everything is really a what? A you thing. You got to make the change. You
For
got to
sure.
want to change. You got to want different. Listen, a person can twist your arm. They can dress you up in the suit. They can put the shoes on you. They can put you in the car, drive you to the place, put you in there, and guess what? It won't matter if you don't want to do it.
It won't matter. It just won't.
That's just how it goes.
It's a you thing. That's a great way to end this. Everything is a you.
That's what we.
Everything is a you thing.
Listen,
Everything is a you
your
thing.
grudge is a you thing.
Everything is a
Your
you thing.
sexuality is a you thing.
Everything is a you
Everything
thing.
is a you thing, and you have to work on you to get to where you really want to be.
Everything is a you thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's word.
Listen, you know what? My heart feels good that we was able to finally
I
have.
know.
Listen, you don't know how retarded I be feeling sitting up here talking to the camera by myself because I don't I feel like it is condescending, right? I feel like
Right.
when we're having this conversation, I can hear you say things that make me think about things and think about all kinds of things, and you can hear me. We can we can have dialogue, and people can hear us talk and know that we can agree, we disagree, all of that. But when you sit here and just talk and talk and talk, I was like, yo, do you even hear yourself? And even though I was breaking down the case, I still was self-conscious about it because I felt like somebody saying, you think you know everything. And I don't. I'm just trying to talk to you about what
Oh no, you know we suffer from
you
that though.
you have to know everything when you're
Right.
the person talking. And then you know
I
that
have to
people
preface most conversations with I'm not trying to act like I know everything.
right.
Like
I know a
I
lot, but
promise
I mean
you.
listen, I do know a lot of stuff, but
I
I
know
don't know
human
everything.
beings.
Right.
I do know human behavior. You know, I'm
Right.
like, listen,
It's
I
our
know what I
job.
know
It's our
sometimes.
job. It's our it listen, and this is
Right.
the problem that I say that's different from us, from other people who may be doing this. This is what we do. Listen, if you think that if someone wants to really understand, well, what's your real experience? How you know so much of this? I know you know because I know what it means to I've sat on enough planes, right? To fly on enough planes to watch people, but I only was able to see the people that I was on the roads with. I can imagine flight attendants, the number of people that they come in contact with and they act and interact with, you begin to see that they get a keen sense. That experience is something a lot of people don't get. And remember that you're doing that in a place where people think you owe them something. Because they
Right. I
and
mean,
you
sometimes I want to pull out my book. Sometimes I want to pull out my book and say, no, no, you don't understand. I study behavior. Like,
right,
like I literally study behavior. Like this is not me thinking that I know everything. If something is unusual to me or more than you, I study behavior. And the thing is, like, I don't think flight attendants were like, we've been in this thing a long time ago, and it just so happened that I was a flight attendant for 20 years because I needed to raise my baby and stuff. But this whole psychology and all of this other stuff has been our thing for quite some
right.
time.
Is you went into it wasn't like, oh, I don't have anything to do. I don't have no life. I'm just gonna become a flight attendant.
Right.
No,
No, no,
you
no, no.
came into this already with a mindset of
Exactly. So
psychological
I
thinking
walked
process.
in observing all of the thousand. I literally could see 1,000 people in one day. A plane will hold 175. When I first started, 137. I do 5 to 6 flights in a day. Not to mention the people that I've seen their behaviors in the airport.
Right.
And because of this mind, I'm literally watching.
And
So
thinking in
I've
process.
learned to tell people I don't think I know everything, but I do know human behavior.
I haven't no, it's just I have an experience with human behavior and how human beings react
Right.
in some of the most interesting experiences in time. I see them happy, sad, and mad. Yo, I was at the airport, and we're gonna go with this. I was at the airport in where was I? What was I? I think I was in Detroit. I was in the airport, and the plane was supposed to go to Fort Pierce, Fort Myers. The lady and her daughter was at the they were at the door. The door was closed. The plane was gone. They was on the phone. They was acting crazy. The little girl was like 12 years old, crying. The mom was puffing. They was going crazy. And I was thinking that, no, you're not. Listen, I almost wanted the flight attendant the person who was there was like, they was looking like it's nothing you could do. You got to go, whatever. And I wanted to go over and say, listen, stop, breathe, and
breathe.
Stop and breathe. Because the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get so emotional that you and your daughter never going to be able to fly again, right?
Or you're going to go to jail.
Are you right? You're going to go to jail in this foreign city that you're not from. You want to get back to Fort Myers as soon as possible. We're going to go to Jacksonville, right? So go over to the Jacksonville flight and say, hey, we missed our flight. How can we get into the Jacksonville flight? Is there any seats on there? Because guess what? Guess what happened? I seen her her and her daughter got on the Jacksonville flight. Now, at least you got to Florida. Now, to get to Fort Myers, that's a whole nother story. But at least you got to Florida. At least you got to Florida at 9 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? Kind of.
But your behavior before that, it's like, bruh.
Yeah, your behavior was like, but why? You had that behavior because you was late. You did something to be late to get to the airport. Because I was at the airport at 2. Like, I'm able to see that because I got to the airport. Somebody said, why you go to the airport so early? Because if you don't go early, you're going to be like them ladies.
Because you are like your family member. I don't need anything interrupting my peace.
Right.
Especially the shit that I can control.
Absolutely.
The things that I can control, I don't need my peace interrupted.
And I don't have to get upset because guess what? I came on time. If the flight delayed, the flight delayed. It doesn't bother me. I'm here. Whenever we get ready to go, we go. Oh, and if we don't go, okay, when are we going to be able to go? I'll go back home and come back tomorrow.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal because I made a schedule to be able to come. I made a schedule so I could be that day early. It was the summertime. So,
but you know what that goes back to, right? You control everything, right. All of it.
All about you. And with that being said, folks, we want to thank you for watching us tonight on Black Marriage and Family. Hey, if you liked us, give us a like, give us a share on the YouTube page. Go in and subscribe so you can get the notifications when we're going to be coming on. Welcome back, Fawn. I'm so glad. I can't wait for the end of the month so we can get really down and dirty into.
Me too.
Into some because this conversation tonight was fantastic. I mean, I can't even imagine being able to have this kind of conversation. And hopefully the people got something out of it. And you heard something that will help you think about it and move to the place that you need to move to, or even as we summed it up, do something for you, about you, changing you. Is only thing that you can evolve or have any involvement with is really you. And it's all
That's the only thing you can control. You can literally only control you.
Yeah. So that being said, good night. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all here next time on Black Marriage and Family. Good night.
Good night, y'all. Good night.